Good morning, James. How you doing? You well?
I'm very well, Joel. How are you doing, man?
I'm blessed, my brother. Always. Can't complain. I'm glad to be spending time with you because I've never interviewed somebody like yourself, and I really appreciate that what you do isn't lauded in the way that it should be, at least not by our community. And for those who are wondering what you do, you're a music composer with 10 years of experience in the film TV industry. You have some decent credits to your name, sir. Um, but start at the beginning. What led you down this path? Because I know we're going to get into some real interesting stuff.
Yeah, sure. Well, yeah, firstly, thank you for acknowledging me. In terms of how I started, do you know what? I started during university during 2011. Um, I didn't always like tend to be drawn to film music, but when I was in university, I had a lecturer who happened to be a film composer. So I used to listen to what he was saying, and my course actually didn't involve film composition, but I was so interested in it that I actually used to sit inside lectures of the film composition students, even though I wasn't getting credited for it. I had an interest because I was just eager to learn. And yeah, so I used to go to the library, downloading CDs of, film scores and just listening heavy, and had a real interest from there. And I think that kind of has led me to this day. And having studied the music, I remember growing up, one of my favorite movies was a movie called Remember the Titans, with Denzel Washington. It's like an American football movie, and it only was until after I studied music that I realized that part of the reason why that's my favorite movie is because of how heavily involved the music is in terms of, swaying the emotion in the movie and this and that. And I thought, yeah, this is an area that I would love to sort of pursue and go down because there's not really many people like me that or look like me that are in this avenue. So it'd be a great route to take. So yeah.
Before you met that teacher, who lecturer, what was the
Mhm.
direction that you wanted to go in with music?
I think I was more like so I started playing music and learning the piano in church when I was about 16. I had a piano teacher. Um so I was kind of like more heavily involved in just like live music, live performances and stuff, like just playing in a band and stuff. So in terms of music, I kind of just wanted to continue that route, or even if it was part of music production. And I think there's a bit of a thin line between music production and composition sometimes, because I have a lot of, friends who are music producers, but they're also in their own right composers as well. Um, but it just depends what route you kind of want to go down and what, projects you want to pursue. So for me, I feel like, yeah, it was more the like live music kind of production side. And I think when you're doing that, you're kind of mainly listening to certain genres all the time. But I think studying film music, like it broadens your horizon. You start listening to different instruments, you start listening to different genres of music, different sounds, and it kind of just expands your horizon, expands your world. So yeah.
Netflix, Amazon Prime, Channel 4. Your work to date is featured on some pretty big platforms, some impressive um, credits to your name. It wasn't always like that though, right? What were some of the early day projects that you got your teeth into, you're particularly proud of? And what was the breakthrough project that got you noticed?
Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think it's definitely been a journey. And I'm still, pushing and stuff. But I think the earlier days, my first project, as I said, was during university. Like a lot of times, when you're hungry and you're in your early days, you're trying to work with anyone you can. So I worked with like a lot of students in the TV and film department to kind of just collaborate and get your creative juices flowing. one of the first projects I did was with a production company called Fully Focused, and they did like documentaries for the Amy Winehouse Foundation, which was like short films to show the importance of like, like alcohol addiction and abuse and stuff like that to raise awareness. Um, and then one of my first films I did was with a good friend called Josh Bridge, who's also a director and producer from the UK, produced some really great stuff. And yeah, that was my first film, and we had a sold out premiere in Cineworld, I believe. I think that was like 2013. So yeah, since then it's just like doing like short films, um, little documentaries here and there. And in regards to big break, I feel like my big break was back in 2014, but it's only started to show now. But I think I sowed the seeds in 2014. That was when I worked on an online web series with Megan Good and Tamara Bass, which was her directing friend. Um, yeah, it's funny enough. So how I actually got about that is somebody tagged me on one of Megan's posts on Instagram because they were looking for music, but they weren't looking for a composer. They were just looking for people who have tracks that, you don't mind featuring in the series. And I thought, at first I thought, oh, do you know what? Like, it's not really my kind of lane. So I kind of left it. And then after a while, I reached out to them and said, oh, do you know what? If you're looking for a composer, I'd be happy to do the music for you. And they got back to me and they were like, yeah, do you know what? We love you, but like we just don't have the budget for it. And at the time, I just thought, you know what, like I don't mind just, sewing into what you're doing. I don't mind helping you guys out and stuff. And so yeah, we went with it. I did 4 out of the 5 episodes, and they loved it. It was cool. And from then we've, had a great relationship. And I feel like that was the sort of start of my career in terms of branching out outside the UK and sowing those seeds. And I think even though, sometimes people think big breaks are like these blockbuster movies and stuff, but I think, that was kind of a big break for me in terms of planting that seed to, you know, go on throughout my career.
James, for the layperson, right? Can we talk process?
Yeah.
Because you're talking about composition. You're a composer, obviously. You do scores. There's going to be a few people who are watching this that have heard of the concept or don't know what a score is. Can we talk about how you begin to work? What comes first? And you just kind of touched on it with regards to getting involved with that last project, but is that a normal kind of case circumstance? Where does it all begin? How do you conjure the magic?
Yeah, good question. I think each process is different. Um, it's funny because sometimes it always starts with a bit of anxiety because you're just like, oh, go through all of this. But yeah, it depends on like, I work with different directors and everyone has their own process. I think a lot of times I tend to start from when I read the script. So when directors, give me the script and stuff, I'm not just reading text, but I'm understanding the plot, the storyline. I'm understanding if there are any themes that are involved that the music can kind of help the direction of the film make a bit more sense to the listener. I'm looking at character development. I'm also, when I read scripts, I have empathy for characters. So I kind of put myself in those positions. I kind of put myself in that character. How would I feel, when this is being done to me? Or how would I feel, if these changes are happening? And you kind of find a way to, use music to connect with that and connect with the story. So I think each process is different. Sometimes it can start with the script. Sometimes it can just start with me just, watching the movie over, playing about ideas. And then sometimes I just write ideas down and I work with like other musicians who, you know, are more experts in their instruments, and I'll write music for them to play. They'll send it back to me, and then I just get more inspiration from that. So I think, yeah, each process varies. Um, as I said, it is down to the relationship with the director. Some directors have just given me like full control, just like, yeah, you know, we trust you, do what you're doing. And then afterwards, they'll be like, okay, if there's anything that we feel that needs changing, then they'll do that. Whereas other directors, it might be, you know, this is what I want. I want them to feel like this. I want this kind of music here. And sometimes they'll send me references of tracks that they feel would go with the scene that already exists. So you kind of like have like a reference point to sort of embody that. So yeah, just depends.
So, and you're drawing for music from places like there's already a bank of, options for you, or you're creating that?
Yeah, I'm pretty much creating it from scratch. So I mean, as I said, there are music tracks that can be reference points in terms of like a sound, but you know, obviously you're not copying the music, you're kind of just seeing what kind of what music that feeling brings. And I think you're kind of embodying that. So yeah, it's pretty much from scratch, like, you know, coming up with melodies from starts with the piano, and then that piano I could be writing notes for, like, you know, strings, horn sections. I could be speaking to friends, you know, who play percussion and stuff like that to just help bring more body to the music and stuff. It all depends, really.
Seems like looking at your show reel, some of the works credits you've done, a lot of your opportunities have come stateside, big breaks, mass exposure. Why has that been the case? Has it been difficult to get on the ladder here, or is it just the way it flowed for you?
Um, yeah, I think it's just the way it flowed, you know. I think the UK has, you know, an amazing creative scene. I just feel like the way how my journey has panned out is that like America just seems to be like a bigger option. And I don't mean bigger as in better than the UK, but there's just a lot more projects happening. So whereas, you know, I might be involved in something here, or there might be certain productions happening here, there's like 100 more of those happening in the US. And yeah, it's just a bigger pond, really. So you kind of get to dip your foot in here and there. And I think my time in the US, like the times that I've been like back and forth and stuff, have been a great investment. And it's kind of just been eye-opening how big, especially like Los Angeles, is how big, you know, of a creative city it is. Like there's so much happening, there's so much budget involved in the productions, even the ones that you think that like may not be the blockbuster movies, they still like to invest in their, you know, creativity. And I think that's the beauty of it. Yeah, so I just think my path, as I said before, when I reached out to Megan and Tamara in 2014, I think from that, you know, our relationship has just blossomed. And, you know, even when I've been out there, they've just like really looked after me. And like when you're out there, you just connect with other people who are in the industry, and it's like everyone's doing something out there. So I think, yeah, the paths that I've crossed, you know, the people that I've met have all played a part. And coincidentally, they've just mainly happened in, you know, America. And it's quite funny because like I think with the UK, like we have a lot of events and stuff, but I think America is very like, what's the word? It's very unpredictable. So you could be going to a networking event over here in the UK, and it can like seem quite formal and stuff. Whereas when I went to Los Angeles, like I could be by like a poolside party, with chicken in my plate, just talking to people, you know, and like that's a kind of networking side there because their lifestyle's a lot different. And I think there's so many of those opportunities out there to meet people in the most random places. So yeah, I think it all plays a part. Yeah.
You mentioned the budget, say, kind of get through in the States.
Mhm.
The youngsters watching this are going to want to know: is it lucrative? Since your 2014 breakthrough moment, have you been paid? I don't want to. You don't have to identify figures, but is it?
Yeah, no,
Is it?
yeah, the budget is definitely good out there. Like, the budget's good here as well. It just depends on what the project is and how much backing they have and how much funding they have. Like, UK definitely has good budgets as well. But as I said, I think um, the US as a whole, it's, a bigger country. So it's like, there's a lot more money involved in what they're doing, especially within the TV and film industry. Like, I remember the first time I got an email from somebody and they were looking to pay me for a project, and they said they mentioned that it's low budget and stuff. So in my mind, I was kind of thinking UK low budget, but when they showed me, like, the figure, I was just like, oh, this isn't like low budget in my mind. So I think that was the first time kind of opened up my mind that, like, there's a lot of opportunity, especially when you're trying to pursue a career, like, you feel more appreciated when other people sort of like are able to, respect your craft a lot more with in reflection to, the cost, because sometimes a lot of people can, try to drain you for like peanuts, and you're like, yeah, this is a lot of work we're doing here. It might not seem like it, but yeah, definitely.
So for those listening at home, that's code for yes, lucrative, right? What was James, what was James like as a young man at school? Um, was you the studious type? Were you at the back of the class getting in trouble, playing on your phone? I mean, what kind of student were you?
Yeah, do you know what? I think school days, like, I was just the joker. Like, I was just pretty much the class clown. So, like, I'm always making jokes, like making people laugh and stuff. Yeah, school days were fun. So, and funny enough, I never actually like studied music or even had an interest in music at school at the time. My interest in music actually came when I started going to church from like college times. That's when I started learning the piano and stuff. And
Sounds like that was a pivotal moment for you.
yeah,
Because because I mean, my son's learning to play piano now, and most of the people like me have been playing piano since they were young. 16 is quite late to start playing piano, and then you've mentioned it a couple of times now that you started going to church. Did you start going to church, or you just start taking church a lot more seriously? What was that moment in your life that helped to shape you?
yeah, no, I started going. I mean, I grew up um with my mom going to church and stuff, like Church of England. But like that was kind of just me going with my mom. Like, I wasn't like, as excited. But then yeah, 16, I started going to church, to like a Pentecostal church. And yeah, like the music and everything just, hit different. Like, it just felt nice. And I think from there, like, I started, learning the piano. I had a piano teacher who played at the church at the time. And it wasn't, funny enough, it wasn't actually until like after I got baptized that I actually had the, vision of wanting to do film music as well. So I think that was kind of like a pivotal moment for me. And yeah, as you said, like 16 isn't the earliest of years to start learning music, because a lot of people in the industry that I've met, like, a lot of them were playing like music from like the age of 2, or had the album out when they was 4 or something. Like, their journey was a lot different. So I think that for me, I like to encourage people in that sense that, there's no time frame of, when you should do something by, because, me learning the piano from 16, um and starting to, like, build a career after that, later from that, it's like, there's no limits to what you can do, or there's no real like this is one path, this is how you have to go. You have to start learning from this age. I think it's beneficial if you can learn from earlier, like, if I have kids in the future, and I, I'm not gonna force music on them, but I would teach them skills from young because it helps, how they think and stuff. But I think it definitely would be beneficial if you do learn from earlier, but that shouldn't stop you from learning if you do happen to do it at a later age. And yeah, because I'm sure there's probably people who have started learning instruments later than me who are still doing great things as well. So yeah.
What do you listen to in your spare time?
Listen to.
Yeah, what do you listen to?
Um,
What's on iTunes or Spotify now?
do you know what? Right now, I've been playing a lot of Stormzy's album that came out. Yeah, he's a good friend. We went to school together, so it's nice to see him, just
Yeah,
in
that
the
must be a
light.
beautiful thing. Yeah, that must be a
Yeah,
great thing for both of you, really. You're both doing really well. So
yeah,
that must be a beautiful thing.
yeah. Listen to a lot of Stormzy at the moment. My music catalog is like so diverse. Like, if you were to put like a shuffle playlist on my music, like it could go from rap to like country to like, soundtrack music from films. Like it could just be, yeah, whatever. So yeah, I mean, at the moment, like I listen to like I said, Stormzy, a lot of R&B. I'm also listening to a lot of film scores. I get a lot of inspiration through that. Sometimes when I watch like TV shows and like a music, it doesn't have to necessarily be a music score, but sometimes it's a track that is playing in the background of a scene. And if I haven't heard that track before, I just go straight to Shazam, hold it to the TV, and then like I start listening to that track. And I think that's the beautiful thing about, how music is incorporated in film, not just score, but people, who are actual artists and they have their music in TV. Because sometimes I don't think I would have heard that track, or I may not have felt that track as I did if it wasn't linked to the picture or the scene that it was playing with. So yeah, I have like different albums on my Spotify. Sometimes I have like film tracks from TV, like what I've Shazammed and stuff. So yeah, it just varies really.
What does future success look like for you, James? What people would you like to work with? Projects would you like to be involved with? I know there's one we're going to touch on that you recently done in Black History Month with Mo Gilligan. I know you've worked with him on a few different projects, but just moving forward, what does the future look like? What does it hold?
Yeah, I think for me, future success is, just evolving, continuing to do what I love and to inspire people through that. And I think, the projects that come with that are subjective because I think, the journey is more important, what I'm, looking to do or who I am in the moment and how I feel when I create. And I think for me, like, working with people in the future, I'd love to do work on a Marvel film at some point. That would be cool. Um, Especially I just think, like, a black guy from, South London. It's just like that would be a cool achievement for me to kind of like work on something I've grown up on, like seeing like, on TV, in cinema, just like being amazed at everything. I think, a Marvel film would be cool. Um, I would also like to like work with Tyler Perry at one point as well. I think that'd be cool because I think his journey is just amazing and I would love to like, know his story more as well. And also like, we have the same surname, so I feel like that can, play a part in it, man, why not?
Speak it, my brother. Speak it.
Yeah. So yeah, I think yeah, future success for me is just, staying on the path that I intended to and, having, your loved ones around you sort of still supporting that and, them being benefited by it, through the success that I have. Yeah.
James, is a young man or woman out there watching this who are inspired by a journey, who for them it might have finally tweaked. Yes, I'm not going to be X, Y, or Z. I'm going to be a composer. This is what I want to do. Where do they start, James?
Yeah, do you know, I'd say they definitely have to first start with, the belief and the drive. Like, I feel like nowadays, there's a lot more tools that people have compared to like what, you know, different people had over the years. If, I wanted to start before, I would have, still did the same journey that I have. But if I was starting now, there's a lot of online content, a lot of people that you can watch conversations to learn from. There's, round table talks. There's a lot of YouTube people who do tutorials on how to compose music. And I think you can get a lot of information in that from there. And yeah, just, don't be afraid to, branch out and listen to, these different genres of music. Go to networking events, meet people who are as hungry as you, meet people who are, looking to do things, quite similar around you. Um, whether that's people who are into directing, that's, on the same path as you, in the same page as you, find out events, um, go to concerts, be inspired. And I think, yeah, just reaching out to people really. A lot of times people feel like, that, they put people on high pedestals that they aren't able to be reached and stuff. But I feel like, behind that person, there's always somebody behind them. So how can you, reach out to maybe somebody's assistant? And it kind of starts from there, having a conversation or an email maybe to be like, I'd love to have lunch with so and so. Is this possible? So I think there's different paths you can go down. But I'd say firstly, definitely, just have that belief and, don't doubt yourself and, take one step at a time. I think one of my favorite quotes is that you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start in order to become great. And, a lot of times we have that final image in our head that, oh, I want to be here, but where you are right now isn't there. But you just have to be patient with yourself. That first step could be like, oh, let me research what, film networking events are happening this month within my area, or may not even be your area. Just taking time with yourself. So I think definitely have the belief, do research and yeah, just use the tools that are available to you. There's a lot of people doing amazing things out there, online content. So yeah, we've it's all in your hands.
Appreciate your time, James. It's been a great
Yeah,
conversation, insight. And, if is there anything else you want to share with us though before we part ways?
Not personally, but I just wanted to say thank you. Like I think for somebody like me within this industry, as you said, like sometimes, the music can be overlooked or my role can be overlooked. Especially within film, a lot of the focus is, the main talent, which is the actors, which, they do an amazing job. But I think there's a lot of people behind the scenes, even when you see the credits in movies, you see hundreds, sometimes thousands of credits because there's a lot of people involved in that. And I think music, you know, composition is something that can be underlooked. And especially like, as a black, composer, it's just like for me, I find pride in what I do. And, just to be acknowledged for it is a blessing. Because, as you said before, like sometimes if there was no music in film, like you wouldn't get that same feeling from it. Like imagine if you watched Jaws or something without music, like you'd be thinking, what's going on? Like this looks like wildlife.
Titanic wouldn't have been the same, would it, mate?
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, man, it's definitely a blessing. And I just want to thank you just for even being seen today and just encouraging everybody else, who may be composers or maybe doing something similar that's, you know, behind the scenes or might not get the limelight of what they do, to just, you know, keep going and, you know, being amazing. So yeah, thank you for your time.
Oh, man, good luck, continued success. Appreciate you, and I love that chair.
But oh, yeah, thanks, man. I had to, man, because it's a lot cleaner than what it is right now.
I love
Yeah,
it. I love it. Good luck, man. Good luck moving forward.
appreciate it.